is like one of the main things that has helped me write songs and why it comes so naturally. And I think it definitely is just because it was like 8 years that I was doing that for. And then that was like the singing and songwriting thing. But once I started to get, I think it was like maybe sixth grade, I had been listening to rap music like pretty much my whole life. And I think around that time I was listening to like G-Eazy, Lil Wayne, Logic. Logic was a huge one for me. This guy won't leave me alone. What is up? I hope you're doing well. My name is Sufferplenty, but everybody calls me Rye, and I just made a video talking about how I started making music, but today I'm going to be making a video about how I started writing music. So let's get into it. Bunny, would you please stop? He's examining my tripod very curiously, but alright, let's get right into it. So basically, if you're unfamiliar with me, why are you like this? Bro, okay, anyway, I gotta show you. I can't. This is not usually how my room is set up, but I set it up a certain way to record. And he seems to think that it is for him to explore. Alright, moving past that, you might hear him in the background moving around on the tub. Sorry about that. So, if you're unfamiliar with me, I started making music in 2017, probably like August, September, and I have been writing songs since I was in elementary school, and I also write poems and stories. I don't write stories anymore, but when I was a kid I would, and I think I started with stories, and that's kind of what led me into poetry and then music, so it all kind of like created a domino effect. But basically in elementary school, I think what really helped me to start making songs was the fact that my dad would always so my dad plays guitar and his dad plays guitar as well. So my dad likes to listen to like a lot of Metallica and Joe Satriani. I think that's how you pronounce his name, but just a lot of like instrumentals, or like Metallica, I know they're not all instrumentals, but the songs are so long that there's like pieces in there that are just straight instrumental. And on those types of songs, my dad would always ask me like if there were lyrics on this or vocals. No, stop that. If there was lyrics or vocals on this song, like, what do you think they would be? And he started asking me this question in elementary school. So that's about, I don't think he stopped asking me that question until like halfway through middle school. So that's like almost 8 years of my life that I was listening to instrumentals and imagining lyrics to them. And once I started like writing my own songs and making like fully composed lyrics and that sort of thing, I think I got to a point where like now when I listen to a beat or I listen to an instrumental or if I hear a guitar, it's like the guitar is singing words and I just kind of like can pick those words from it and then structure something out of it. And it's the same thing with an instrumental. Like anything that has a melody, in my head I can like picture what the words are, like what it's singing, and then I can like pull that to make my own thing. And I thought that like this was a normal thing, like everybody could do this, and I think it's common 100%, but I didn't realize that not everybody could do this. I don't think that my dad can do this, so whenever I told him that now whenever I listen to instrumentals I hear words, he thinks that I'm crazy. Because I'm like the only person in my family who can hear words when they're listening to instrumentals. And I think that is like one of the main things that has helped me write songs and why it comes so naturally. And I think it definitely is just because it was like 8 years that I was doing that for. And then that was like the singing and songwriting thing. But once I started to get, I think it was like maybe sixth grade, I had been listening to rap music like pretty much my whole life. And I think around that time I was listening to like G-Eazy, Lil Wayne, Logic. Logic was a huge one for me, which is crazy because he is from Maryland and I moved to Maryland. So moving here, that was like one of the biggest things I was excited for, is to be like, oh my god, Logic's from here. And now I'm from here too, like that's dope. Totally irrelevant, but anyway, I was listening to those guys, and because of that I kind of wanted to get into rapping. And in elementary school I had a lot of friends who would like freestyle rap and that sort of thing, and so I was like, damn, that's really cool, like I want to do that too. And like G-Eazy, Logic, Lil Wayne, all of them do like those freestyle YouTube videos. So I was really obsessed with those. And I wasn't very good at freestyle rapping. I just couldn't rhyme for some reason. Like I felt like singing was easier at that time because whenever you're singing, you don't have to like rhyme. You can just make melodies or like do spacings that make things flow together the right way. But with rapping, I feel like it's very obvious. Like if you don't rhyme a word, it doesn't flow properly. So I ended up like using, I think it was Rhyme Zone, and then also an app called I think it was Rhymer's Block. I don't know if it still exists, but I used those two apps as sort of like a guideline. Like I wouldn't use them to make songs, but I would use them to like kind of get an understanding of what words rhyme together, and then like how to properly word them together. And I think, do you mind? I think I mostly copied Eminem. Like I don't like Eminem anymore, but whenever I was first starting I did. And he does this thing where he rhymes mostly like the beginning or the end of his lines. So I think I kind of picked up on that as well. But those apps really helped me, and it's crazy because the the Rhymer's Block app. So before I started recording my own music, I was ghostwriting. So I was selling the songs that I would create because in like 2014, 2015, they were like fully structured and I felt like they were going to waste. And it was actually thanks to Rhymer's Block that I was able to connect with other artists, and that's where I found like pretty much everybody that I was selling songs to, and that obviously didn't feel right, hence why I make my own music now. But I would say that's pretty much how I got into it, and then, you know, it's really interesting how it really is like a domino effect. Like you start as stories, and then you go to poems, and then songs. And the crazy thing about the stories was, so I stopped writing stories once I got to middle school, but I was very creative as a kid. Like I was like over the top creative and like imaginative, and I made like even like stories about Halo because I was obsessed with Halo, like Halo 3, Halo Reach, Halo 3 ODST, that was one of my favorites. And I would write stories after I would play the video game that were like inspired by it, and then I would just make these other stories that were totally weird, like werewolves, I don't know, just crazy stuff. Maybe if I can find some of my old stories, I'll share them because I think that that would be really cool. But whenever I was in elementary school, these stories were so good that they put these in the library at my school for the other kids to read. So that's like one of my favorite memories from elementary school, is the fact that they thought that my stories were so good that they put them in the library. And like, dude, anyway, they put them in the library, and like literally other kids could check these stories out just like they were a regular book in the library and then return them. So I had all kinds of people literally renting my book and then returning them. And there was like probably maybe like a dozen of those stories in the library. It was super sick. Very cool. Dude. This little turd won't stop chewing my tripod. Knock it off. You're gonna sit here and you're gonna behave. Anyway, that's how I got started writing music. What is that? There's a hair somewhere. Anyway, that's how I got started writing stories. Hopefully this was interesting to hear more about like my background of it. I really want to use my YouTube channel to like get to know each other better, because I feel like it's hard outside of music. Like when you listen to my songs, you can probably know a lot about me, but you don't know a lot about like the background stories. And the artists that I listen to, I'm really interested in hearing about like their life and their background stories. And I find that there's not really like a whole lot of artists that go deep into detail about it, and I feel like that's something that I want to do. I want to go into detail about it so that if anybody's curious, everything is here on my channel and you can figure out literally anything that you want to know, you can find out. So if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to drop a thumbs up on it, subscribe for more content, listen to my music, available on all platforms, and I think that's it. Until next time, peace out. Please take care of yourself. Ooh,